Hmm. Okay, hello there. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you find yourself right now as you are tuning in with me. Hello. Okay, we're going to get into something that is so near and dear to my heart, very important, and potentially quite life-changing in the ways that we view ourselves, and particularly this concept of being a highly sensitive, deep feeling person. So we're going to get into Ayurveda and looking at the five elements of nature and how they are playing out in your unique system, particularly, again, as it relates to the trait of high sensitivity or just being a highly sensitive, deep feeling person. So that's where we're going today. We're diving into the world of Ayurveda and its five elements and a framework that can offer us powerful insights. So before we go anywhere, I would love to pose this question to you. All right. So just start to think. Do you sometimes feel like you're at the mercy of your environment? Like just kind of being strung along, like really soaking in all of the noises, the temperatures, the energy, just feeling very overstimulated and overwhelmed quite easily. Is this you? Tell me yes or no. So we're going to look at the ways that the elements are playing through our system. And when I say that, it's important to remember that like you are all of these elements, right? Like you are all of them. They all live in you in various amounts. And so when we can really come to understand that and understand a few couple really important concepts of working with them, we can really change our entire experience of life. And so these symptoms and this feeling of like being overstimulated and overwhelmed and at the mercy of life and the environment doesn't feel so heavy. It's not like a really major part of our experience. We are back in control of our experience when we come to really see ourselves through this new way. So, longest preamble of all time, right? Let's get into it. Hello again, welcome. As a reminder, if you are new here or if you need a reminder, I am Devin, and I'm an integrative health expert and teacher, an Ayurvedic health advisor, and a holistic life coach. And I'm also the founder of the InnerSpark method, where I teach those who feel completely overstimulated, overwhelmed, stressed, and just like burnt the F out by modern life to really thrive by aligning with the natural world and coming to understand and support the needs of their true nature. Right? So that's where we're headed. That's the perspective I'm coming to you through from. So in Ayurveda, everything in the universe, including ourselves, is composed of five elements. So space, air, fire, water, and earth. And each of these elements brings unique qualities to our bodies and minds. So we can think of like the earth element, for example, is giving structure, right? It's part of the reason I am in a body that has a solid form. I'm not just like a puddle of water on the floor. The body gives me a container. It's holding my organs and my bones and my veins and all of the waters that are in my system, right? And the air and the earth, or I'm sorry, the air and the ether helps things to move through my system. It's helping me to speak to you right now. It's helping you to hear me as the sound is traveling into your ears. So there's all of this really beautiful interplay, this symphony of elements that is working within and around us at all times every day. And each one of us is composed of all five of these in our own unique pie you can think of. So we're each a pie, and we each have our own proportion of the ingredients. This is me making a pie chart, by the way, in case you're like, what puppetry is she doing today? This is a pie chart. We each have our own unique ratios, proportions of the five elements within all of us. So something very important that that I teach and that I don't really hear is talked about a lot when it comes to high sensitivity. So like, yes, it's a trait, right? We can thank Dr. Elaine Aron for coining this term back in the 90s, and it's really helped a lot of us to understand more about ourselves. However, high sensitivity is not just an innate trait, meaning that we are born with it. So most of us, yes, we were simply born with this trait. We are more in tune with the environment around us. Our senses are more sensitive. We feel things more deeply because we're perceiving more deeply. So it's really this like nervous system variation, right? It's like a very finely tuned antenna that our nervous system is. So then something else can happen too, where we kind of develop this highly sensitive system as a result of compounding life, stress, and trauma. Those instances, right? And even just like living in the modern world, you know, we don't even need to really talk about like, you know, big traumas, big stresses, just like living on this planet right now, even if you were in like a little bubble wrapped, safely insulated environment, like shit's heavy, it's crazy. So all of these different things that we go through throughout our lives compound and lead to the same symptoms. And so high sensitivity, whether innate or whether the result of compounding life and trauma and stress, when it is misunderstood and mismanaged, leads to the same problematic symptoms. So these are things like, you know, fatigue, insomnia, various physical health issues, particularly those that impact the digestive system and the hormonal system, dry skin, anxiety, feeling really restless and scattered, inability to focus. All of these different kinds of things are the same result of, you know, and it's like, well, was I born this way? Am I a highly sensitive person, an HSP, or am I, you know, just like having stress and unprocessed trauma? And it's like, okay, that can be fun, I suppose, to like label and get down to the granular things. And it's like really not important because the symptoms are the same and the TLC, the remedy, is the same. And so taking it back to Ayurveda, what we are dealing with is a high vata dosha imbalance. And so vata is the Sanskrit term for when the ether and the air element. So this part that is like expansive, right? It's like, think about air in space, right? It's like, it's not contained, it's moving. It's like the wind, it's dry, it's quick. It takes us up and out of ourselves. So when we're feeling anxious, when we're not like grounded, up and out, right? Up and out of ourselves, not connected to this earth, this like, oh, I am safe, I'm in a structure, I'm contained. It's a lot of like up and out. So again, it doesn't really matter if it's this innate, you know, I'm an HSP, I'm an empath, like, okay, those are really wonderful. And they're excellent tools for us to like learn more about ourselves and to realize like, oh, I'm not crazy because I can feel when the TV upstairs and in the way back corner is on, right? Anybody else, like, I can't be the only one. We can like feel these things. We feel, you know, like the change in the pressure of the atmosphere way before a storm rolls in. We're very in tune. And most of us have been like that our whole lives. And so the kind of like, stick of it all is like when we are born with more of this air and space in our pie, and we are highly sensitive people with that trait inborn, we are more susceptible because we already have so much air and space to the impacts of compounding life stress and trauma, especially when we're not caring for ourselves and understanding the needs of this air and space, the needs of this highly sensitive system. We're just more susceptible to the compounding negative effects of misunderstood and mismanaged sensitivity. So these elements can go out of balance very easily. They're meant to. We are not static creatures. We are constantly flowing and spiraling. And so trying to reach this like ideal balance, fixed place is an illusion and it's impossible. There's no fixed place. We need to really become aware and in tune with the ways that the 5 elements live in our own bodies. And again, as anybody that is a highly sensitive person or experiencing high sensitivity, experiencing a lot of trauma and stress, the compounding consequences of trauma and stress in their lives, really need to tend to this air and ether element or vata dosha. Now, this doesn't mean that like, oh, that's my constitution. It just means that's what's really imbalanced in you. And sometimes it's really hard to actually know what our natural state is, what our natural pie proportions are when there is so much imbalance. And so for like everybody on the planet, whether you're like a very earthy, more of the like earth and water constitution, kapha, as they call it, or you're like really fiery, pitta, as it's called, I would really advise like all of us on the planet to really pay extra attention to this air and ether. And if you're listening to me right now, obviously high sensitivity, whether innate or the product of stress and trauma throughout your life, is out of balance, or you wouldn't be here with me right now listening to me. So really tuning into that part of you and bringing in what brings balance. And remembering that balance is not fixed. We're always changing. The seasons are always changing. Like everything is always in a flow. So it takes this really beautiful acceptance of ourselves and where we are, and then stepping into this like radical self-responsibility of like, okay, I maybe am not responsible for everything that's happened to me in my life that has led to where I am right now. Like I didn't ask for that childhood dysfunction. I didn't ask for the various traumas or stressors that I've lived through. I didn't ask to not be shown how to properly accept and care for myself. And I am where I am right now. And now I can take responsibility for that and move forward. So, like I said, whether it's innate high sensitivity or it's the product of life or both, the support that's needed is the same. So getting caught up in labels and fine details about being highly sensitive are irrelevant, as the symptoms one will experience are the same and the support needed is the same. So just wrapping it up here, when we feel into, so we know that high sensitivity, trauma, all of these things are tied to this air and ether element. And what are they like? They're dry, they're quick, they're expansive, they are like up and out. And so before I even like tell you the next thing, I really invite you to just feel into, for your own system, what would bring a sense of balance to that. If that is up and elevated and anxiousness, scattered, ungrounded, unable to sleep, really just like edgy, antsy, those things are up, what would be the thing that would be needed to bring about greater balance, to bring about a sense of the opposite of that feeling? So when we can feel into that and know that about ourselves, that's where the element or the remedy is. And that's one of my most favorite principles of Ayurveda that I love teaching people, because it really empowers us to realize like, oh, okay, like will increase like. So if I'm feeling really scattered, I'm feeling very edgy, I'm feeling anxious, and I'm up and out of myself, I probably don't need stuff with like more movement, more information into my brain that's like going to make me have to like think and process. So like scrolling on Instagram, it's probably not the thing that's going to help me. Being still, doing something tactile, like, touching something, being firm and slow. Those are the things that are going to bring balance, bringing more of that earth. Yeah. So we practice bringing in the opposite quality for greater balance and wholeness. And we really come to appreciate and observe the way that these 5 elements play out in our bodies and system. And in my program, the InnerSpark method, we delve very deeply into the world of Ayurveda and the 5 elements and how they interplay with your unique constitution. And we look at really easy, practical, everyday ways to bring these elements into balance, particularly Vata as it relates to high sensitivity. Again, whether that is innate or the product of trauma and stress, it's a way of supporting your well-being to improve your health and to really encourage this ongoing empowerment and healing and recovery from the lasting impacts of trauma and stress to make ourselves more resilient for life, which means like greater joy and peace and fun because life gets to be that way. So if you're ready to explore this powerful framework and start to nurture your sensitivity with the wisdom of nature, then I invite you to check out the InnerSpark program to look into possibly a one-on-one session with me. And together we can navigate the elements within you and get you thriving so that this sensitivity, no matter its roots, can become your superpower. So share with me what your experience of the elements has been in your body and how you feel that this, particularly this air and ether, really impact your body, mind, and emotions. I would love to hear from you and continue this conversation. And I welcome you to reach out to me anytime and to check out theinnersparkmethod.com. All right, I will see you next time.